Did you know Johnny Depp, the man who's played everyone from Captain Jack Sparrow to the Mad Hatter, once said he's terrified of marriage? Yeah, you heard that right. Johnny Depp, one of Hollywood's biggest and most mysterious stars. Afraid of saying "I do"? Sounds surprising, right? You'd think someone who's lived a life full of adventure, fame, and rock star romance would have no fear of something as ordinary as marriage. But Johnny's story is a little different. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm here, and if you've been keeping up with the never-ending roller coaster that is Johnny Depp's love life, you're definitely not the only one. From his long-term relationships to his court battles, the man's journey through love has been just as dramatic as his movies, and today, we're diving deep into something he's been open about for years, his fear of marriage. Why does someone like Johnny Depp, a man who has everything, fame, fortune, success, fear commitment? What happened in his life that made him view marriage as something risky, even dangerous? Stick around, because this isn't just about gossip or headlines. It's about what happens when love and money collide. When trust gets tested, and when one of the world's biggest stars admits that even he's afraid of losing himself to love. All right? Let's go back in time for a second. Before all the scandals, before the lawsuits, before social media blew up his private life, Johnny Depp was known as Hollywood's rebel. He was the heartthrob who didn't follow the rules. He played eccentric roles, wore his own style, and lived life on his own terms. And when it came to love, it was no different. Johnny has had some legendary relationships. From Winona Ryder back in the 90s, to his long relationship with French actress and singer Vanessa Paradis. He's always been known as a romantic at heart, but here's the interesting part. Even with Vanessa, who he spent over 14 years with, they never got married. 14 years. 2 kids together. And still, no wedding. When people asked him why, his answer was simple but deep. He said something like, "Marriage is just a piece of paper. I've seen too many people get married for the wrong reasons." Now, that's a pretty honest answer, and it gives you a clue into how he thinks. For Johnny, love isn't about the legal contract or the ring, it's about the connection, the soul, the art of it. But marriage, especially in Hollywood, adds layers, lawyers, money, headlines, and expectations. And let's be honest, when you're Johnny Depp, love isn't just emotional, it's financial. Every relationship becomes part of your brand. Every argument can turn into a headline. Every mistake costs millions, and that's exactly what happened next. After his split from Vanessa, Johnny fell in love again, this time with actress Amber Heard. They met on the set of The Rum Diary, and for a while, it looked like the perfect love story. She was young, beautiful, bold, and he seemed head over heels. But what started as a fairy tale quickly became one of the most public, painful breakups Hollywood has ever seen. Their relationship went from red carpets to courtroom. Battles, accusations flew in both directions. The media went wild. It felt like the whole world was watching their love story fall apart in real time. And through all of it, one thing became painfully clear. Johnny's biggest fear had come true. Love and wealth had collided. And the result was heartbreak. Chaos and years of emotional damage. He didn't just lose money. He lost peace. He lost trust. And in many ways, he lost the private version of himself that fans rarely got to see. The entire ordeal became a global spectacle. Every text, every video, every tear analyzed, shared, and criticized. And when something that personal becomes that public, it changes you. It's no wonder he grew even more cautious about love. He's seen how fast something pure can turn toxic when money and fame are involved. Imagine being in his shoes for a second. You're one of the most recognized faces in the world. You've worked for decades to build your career, your reputation, your wealth. Then one relationship threatens to destroy all of it. Wouldn't you be scared to fall in love again? It's not that Johnny doesn't believe in love. Far from it. He's always been the type to wear his heart on his sleeve. He writes music, paints and lives passionately. He's the kind of man who feels things deeply. But now, he's careful. He knows what's at stake. because when love goes wrong at his level, it doesn't just hurt emotionally, it can ruin everything you've built. So, let's talk about that fear of marriage again. To Johnny, marriage isn't just a romantic promise, it's a financial and legal risk. It's the line where love stops being personal and starts being paperwork. He said before that he's seen too many people get married for reasons that have nothing to do with real love, fame, money, convenience. And after what he's been through, it's easy to see why he'd be wary. His experience with Amber Heard wasn't just another breakup, it was public humiliation. It was years of fighting to defend his name. And that leaves scars, not just on your heart, but on your outlook toward relationships altogether. But here's the thing about Johnny Depp. He's still, deep down, a romantic soul. He believes in connection, in art, in emotion. You can see it when he talks about his kids. When he plays music, when he acts, he loves deeply. But now, he loves carefully. It's like he's learned to protect that soft part of himself, to guard it from the chaos that comes with fame and fortune. He's not the only celebrity who feels this way. In fact, experts say that many stars avoid marriage for the same reasons. When you have fame, money, and constant attention, it's hard to tell who's genuine. Every relationship comes with questions. Is it love, or is it opportunity? And let's be real. After years of betrayal, legal battles, and media madness, trust doesn't come easy. For someone like Johnny, it's not about being cynical. It's about being realistic. He knows how quickly love can turn into a lawsuit. And that's enough to make anyone hesitate before saying, I do. Now, here's something a lot of people don't know. After the court cases and the endless media circus, Johnny reportedly took a huge step back from Hollywood. He focused on his art, his music, and his peace of mind. He started touring again with his band, the Hollywood Vampires, and surrounded himself with old friends and creative people who genuinely care about him. Insiders have said that these days, he values peace over passion. He wants companionship, not chaos. And that totally makes sense. When you've lived through what he's lived through, stability becomes priceless. A close friend of his even said in an interview, Johnny wants peace, not pressure. He's done with the chaos. And that one sentence says it all. He's not afraid of love. He's afraid of losing peace. The one thing he's fought so hard to find again. Now, there are always rumors floating around about who Johnny might be seeing or what his next move might be. Some say he's found someone new. Others think he's focusing purely on himself. Whatever the truth is, it's clear he's moving at his own pace. There's talk about him working on new music, maybe even an autobiography one day. Imagine that, Johnny Depp telling his story in his own words. That would be something. But when it comes to marriage, well, only time will tell. Maybe one day when love feels safe again, he might give it another chance. But for now, he seems content keeping his heart guarded and his life quiet. You know, the more you think about it, the more Johnny's fear really starts to make sense. It's not just about paperwork or prenups or money. It's deeper than that. It's about what those things represent, vulnerability. It's about the idea of trusting someone enough to hand them the keys to your world and just hoping, really hoping, that they'll keep it safe, that they won't take advantage of that trust or use it as a weapon later on. And that's not just a celebrity problem. That's a human one. Because no matter who you are, whether you live in Hollywood or a small town somewhere far from the spotlight, we all know what it feels like to be afraid of giving too much of ourselves away. To open up to someone and wonder, will they protect this part of me, or will they hurt me with it someday? For Johnny, it's magnified 1,000 times over. Imagine living a life where every relationship, every argument, every heartbreak becomes public property. When you're that famous, even your most private pain gets turned into entertainment for other people. The tabloids turn your heartbreak into headlines. The internet turns your emotions into memes. You stop being seen as a person and start being treated like a story. So when he says he's afraid of marriage, maybe it's not just the legal side or the money at stake. Maybe it's the fear of losing control over his own life again. Once you've lived through a breakup that gets broadcast around the world, how do you ever feel safe being vulnerable again? Think about it. When you fall in love, you let someone see every side of you. The parts the world never gets to see. Your insecurities, your bad habits, your soft spots, your dreams. You trust them with the version of you that's unguarded. And for someone like Johnny, that trust has been broken before in ways most people can't even imagine. The betrayal doesn't just sting. It reshapes the way you see love forever. He's been through years of his name being dragged through courtrooms and tabloids. Strangers who've never met him debating whether he's a hero or a villain. People dissecting his text messages, his expressions, his body language. That kind of public judgment leaves scars that don't go away. It makes you wary. It makes you cautious. And maybe, in his case, it makes you believe that marriage, with all its legal bindings and public meaning, is just another way of giving away more of yourself than you can afford to lose. It's like when you touch something hot and get burned. Even after the wound heals, you're still hesitant to reach out again. You flinch before your hand gets close. The pain changes your reflexes. And that's exactly what emotional trauma does too. It teaches you to protect yourself, sometimes even from the good things. Johnny's fear isn't about being lonely or avoiding love. He's always been a deeply emotional person. You can see it in the way he speaks, in his art, in his music. He feels everything so intensely. But when you've been burned in love, intensity becomes a double-edged sword. The same emotions that make love beautiful also make heartbreak unbearable. For someone like him, the line between love and pain has blurred. So instead of chasing that head-over-heels kind of love, he seems to be searching for peace. Something quiet, stable, honest. He's probably learned that peace is far rarer than passion. And maybe that's why he avoids marriage now. Because marriage, for him, has stopped being a symbol of love and has turned into a symbol of risk. We tend to romanticize the idea of marriage as a forever bond. But when you've watched that bond break in public, it becomes something else entirely. It becomes a reminder of what can go wrong, how fast love can change, how easily trust can crumble, and how expensive it can be when it does. People might say, but he has all the money in the world. Why worry about losing it? But it's not just about money. When you've built something from years of hard work, your art, your reputation, your sense of self, it's devastating to watch it unravel over a relationship. And Johnny's had to rebuild himself more than once. That's exhausting. Emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And maybe that's what he's really protecting now. Not his wealth, but his spirit. The parts of himself that fame, love, and loss have chipped away at over the years. He's not afraid of love. He's afraid of losing the parts of himself he's managed to recover. We all carry the echoes of our past heartbreaks. Even when we move on, the lessons stay with us. We become a little more careful, a little more guarded. We learn to look for red flags, to hesitate before giving our hearts away. Some call it wisdom, others call it fear. But it's really just self-preservation. And Johnny, after everything, seems to have mastered that. You can almost imagine him sitting quietly somewhere, guitar in hand, maybe painting, maybe writing, reflecting on all he's lived through. The highs of falling in love, the lows of losing it all, and the quiet understanding that comes afterward. Maybe he's realized that not every love story needs a wedding to make it real. Sometimes the truest love is the one that doesn't ask for ownership, just understanding. When he says he's afraid of marriage, maybe what he's really saying is that he values freedom more than formality now. That he's learned love doesn't need to be proven with a contract. That he wants love to be a choice made every day, not an obligation written in ink. There's something beautiful about that, in a bittersweet way. Because it's honest. It's vulnerable in its own quiet form. It's him saying, I still believe in love. I'm just protecting myself while I do. And honestly, can any of us say we wouldn't do the same? After you've been hurt deeply enough, love becomes a different kind of courage. It's no longer about chasing the fairy tale. It's about learning to trust again, even when you're scared. It's about letting someone in, one small piece at a time, and hoping they don't break what's left. So maybe Johnny's fear of marriage isn't fear at all. Maybe it's wisdom. Maybe it's the realization that real love doesn't need to be wrapped in legal vows or public promises. It just needs to feel safe, and until he finds that kind of safety again, maybe choosing not to marry is his way of healing. His way of saying, I still believe in love. I just need it to believe in me back. Because in the end, that's all any of us want, isn't it? To be loved without fear, to give our hearts without losing ourselves, and to find someone who sees us not as a prize, not as a paycheck, not as a story, but simply as a person. For Johnny Depp, that's the dream. Not the perfect wedding, not the fancy ring, not the headlines. Just peace, just trust, just love, in its most human, fragile, and real form. And honestly, can you blame him? At the end of the day, Johnny's story is a reminder that love and fear often live side by side. Even when you've got fame, money, and adoration, the heart still wants what it wants. And it still hurts the same when things fall apart. He's lived through love stories that were bigger than movies, and heartbreaks that played out on the world stage. Through it all, he's still standing, still creating, still believing in connection, even if he's more cautious about it now. And maybe that's what makes him so relatable, because behind the fame, behind the headlines, behind the iconic roles, Johnny Depp is just a man who's been through love, loss, and fear like the rest of us. So what do you think? Is Johnny right to be afraid of marriage? Or is love still worth the risk, no matter what it costs? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Do you think people like Johnny can ever fully trust again after what he's been through? Or does fame make love too complicated to survive? If you enjoyed this deep dive into Johnny Depp's love story and his fear of marriage, make sure to check out our next video, Celebrities Who Swore Off Marriage Forever, and Why. You'll be shocked to see how many A-listers share the same fears. And hey, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a new story. We dive into the human side of Hollywood, the emotions, the heartbreaks, and the lessons behind the headlines, because at the end of the day, every celebrity story isn't just about fame or scandal. It's about people, real people, trying to find love. Just like the rest of us. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, behind every Hollywood headline, there's a human story waiting to be told. See you in the next one.